Hey there, it's Kimberly Lucht, and I'm a business coach and energy healer for entrepreneurs who want to make more money and magic doing what they love. And so if that's you, you're in the right place. And today we're talking all about how to adapt to your cycle in business. And so if you are a woman, or you were born female, or you have a womb, or you have a menstrual cycle, this is for you. And if you don't have a menstrual cycle because you have grown out of it or for other reasons, this also can apply to you because you can use the cycles of the moon to your benefit to replace that kind of menstrual cycle in your life. If you identify as male or have never had a menstrual cycle, you can also still use this. It just has to be in the lunar sense, right? With the moon phases instead of the womb phases. So let's first take a look at the phrase cycle syncing and how it can apply to you in your business and in your life. Within a typical cycle, there are 4 phases that we take a look at when it comes to cycle syncing. It's the follicular phase, the ovulation phase, the luteal phase, and the menstrual phase. If you're looking at this from the lunar phase perspective, it'd be new moon, first quarter, full moon, last quarter, and then new moon again. It cycles very similarly to a menstrual cycle. The moon is very much in correlation with women's bodies, so it's really cool to see how the moon and the womb like to link up and sync up. And so if you don't have a menstrual cycle, again, use those moon phases to your benefit. For now, let's look at cycle syncing with the menstrual lens. And so if you have those 4 phases of follicular, ovulation, luteal, and menstrual, then we're going to take a look at each 4 to see what is ideal during those times. So let's take a look at phase number 1 of the menstrual cycle, which is the follicular phase. During this time, it's great to start new things and create new things and sprout new ideas. It's essentially the follicles are sprouting. I don't know if that's exactly the scientific term, but that's how I like to think about it in my head. The follicles and the ovaries are like, whoop, like let's go. We're starting a new phase. We're starting a new cycle. And so similarly, that's kind of new moon energy. And you want to start things and start initiatives or projects or creative ideas when you're in that follicular phase. Of course, it's not always going to be the case, but if you look at, launch periods or promotional periods that you're going to have throughout the year, you can sync them up to those follicular phases of like, okay, like we're going to start creating things for the launch or the promotion or for the program during that follicular phase. And next up is phase number 2, which is ovulation. And so ovulation energy is very social, very communicative. Let's say you have to do a lot of podcasts for something or spread a message. Ovulation is a really great time to do that. And so again, looking at your calendar, let's see, okay, how can I cycle sync all of the messaging and the communication other than your consistent communication practices, right? Like if you're going to be doing a lot of book launch podcasts or something similar, then maybe putting them all in the week of ovulation could be helpful and things like that. Or maybe going on IG lives during ovulation, maybe recording YouTube videos during ovulation or podcasts during ovulation. Like that's a really social, communicative time. Next up, we have phase number 3, which is the luteal phase. And so luteal phase, I think about it as like putting on the finishing touches and tying up any loose ends. Because your body is preparing to menstruate, there's a lot of just like condensing energy of like, let's like simplify all this noise and come back down to the body and come back down to earth. And so if you can finish your projects and finish up those creative ideas or finish the launches or finish the promotions or finish big energetic spurts of work, then that's really going to be helpful in preparation for phase number 4, which is menstruation. Menstruation is a really wonderful time to take things slow. And so if you can clear your calendar a little bit more than usual, that's wonderful because it makes sure that your body is able to release properly. And that also is mirrored in our life and in our business of like releasing any obligations, releasing any things or any endeavors or tasks that just don't feel right in that moment. This is a really good time to prune your business and prune your life to make sure that it makes sense for you and it makes sense for, the cycles that are yet to come. And so if we look at it like that, we're like, okay, that's pretty simple, right? Like follicular, starting the things, starting the projects and the creative ideas and sprouting the seeds. Ovulation, communicating the ideas, socializing around the ideas, getting the message out there. Luteal is finishing up all of those different projects and just putting a bookend on some of them. Menstruation is like letting go and releasing the things that seem complete and then preparing the body and preparing the mind for what's ahead. It's like this blank canvas situation, right? And so if we look at those things and we also correlate them with the moon, you see that the new moon is very much in that follicular energy, right? The sprouting the seeds, new moon energy. It's like farmers used to plant and still do plant a lot of times seeds on the new moon. And then you have the first quarter correlated with the ovulations, like that growing, that building energy, that growing, expansive energy that's ascending us into the full moon, which is luteal, kind of like, okay, like bless and release, like finishing up the tasks, right? And then the last quarter is that menstruation of like completing the cycle. So that's kind of how it can mirror with the moon and the menstrual cycle phases. And it's something that when you look at your calendar, you can kind of plan your life and your business around this. And so when you do this, things might actually energetically fall into place a lot more often than if you're not doing that. And of course, your life and your business is not completely dictated by your menstrual cycle or the moon cycles, right? Like there will be times where it gets crazy during menstruation or during the luteal phase, and that's okay. And there will be times where your follicular and your ovulation phases are actually not super like, like let's get out there and like do the things. There's gonna be nuance and flexibility and flow within all of those different phases. And of course, phases not only of your cycle, but of your lifetime too. So remaining open and flexible to those differences is really key here. But ultimately, like you can kind of map out the year ahead, the month ahead, the weeks ahead with those cycles and with those phases in mind. And so just to recap, the phases that we covered today is the follicular phase, the ovulation phase, luteal phase, and menstrual phase. And with the follicular phase, sprouting the seeds, planting the seeds, starting new ideas, starting new creative endeavors, ovulation, communicating about that, socializing around the message, getting the message out there. Luteal is finishing up those last minute things or last minute projects and completion, bringing things to completion a little bit more and winding down for menstruation. And then menstruation, bless and release, letting things go, preparing for a new slate, a blank canvas. Release, shed the old and bring in the new. So that's a little introduction in how to cycle sync, and I really hope that this helps. If you want more guidance like this, I invite you to get on my email list because it's where I send videos like this first. And so if you want those videos to drop into your inbox on a weekly basis, click the link below, put in your name and email, and you'll get a few fun welcome gifts in your inbox right away. So thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video. Ciao for now. Bye.